You are charged to measure and publicly report on progress on poverty. Your department created the market basket measure. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Stats Canada says it is a measure of low income based on the cost of specified basket of goods and services representing a modest, basic standard of living. Can you tell me if food, shelter, transportation are included in the market basket needed for a basic standard of living?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'm delighted for the occasion to link my former life with my current privilege of being with you today. In my former life,
in either of those two lives, were you able to learn whether food, shelter, or transportation are included in the market basket measure?
What I'm going to do, with your permission, is to signal first that the poverty reduction strategy that the Canadian government is currently
So I can help you then. It is all three, in fact, are included in the market basket measure. A Finance Canada briefing in 2015 suggested a carbon tax would create a cascading effect of higher prices on these very items. How much will a $50 a ton carbon tax increase the cost of a market basket measure that your department says is needed for a basic living?
Now I'll switch in French because I have a very interesting quotation making precisely those linkages between the importance of building a sustainable economy, both from a economic perspective and from
Does your department have any estimation of the increased costs of a market basket for an average family as a result of a $50 a ton carbon tax? Does that analysis exist within your department?
I'm not sure how this department, how this committee works, but normally when we ask questions, we normally listen to the answers, and I'm very willing and
we're not getting any so
feeling
far.
Privileged to provide such answers.
Point of order here, Dan.
It would be nice if you actually allowed the minister to answer the question and not interrupt him.
I would concur with that, Pierre. If we could maybe let the minister actually get to his answer, that would be appreciated, please.
So I'll get to the answer you are looking for, but I think I should also get to the answer that we are all looking for when we look at the impact of the importance of building our economy in a sustainable manner. That quote here comes from Synovus Energy.
Synovus supports carbon tariffs. Carbon tariffs are one of the most equitable means and the most effective means of promoting innovation in order to reduce GHG emissions.
Pricing carbon pollution, we must be looking for ways that are both efficient
With
and
respect,
equitable.
Mr. Chair, we have allowed the minister to go on at length. The question was the impact of a $50 a ton carbon tax on a basic market basket of goods people need for a living, and he's come back with a quote from a CEO of a multinational oil and gas company, which is very interesting, but not terribly interesting to people who are struggling to purchase a market basket of goods they need to survive. There's no surprise that a CEO of Synovus can pay the carbon tax. I'm asking about poverty, which you were tasked to address in the mandate letter you received from the Prime Minister. So, for the third time, can you tell us what will be the increase in the market basket cost for a family once the imposition of a $50 a ton carbon tax is complete?
If you were to join my former life with my current life, you will also make the connection between a policy that need to be both equitable and effective in sending the right signals to our businesses and workers, as well as protecting the welfare of our more vulnerable Canadians.
So you don't have an answer to the question.
You've seen in recent months exactly what type of policies these can be. The CCB and the cut in middle-class taxes have been arranged through increases in the taxes that we're asking high-income Canadians to make, and decreases in the family benefits we were sending to families of millionaires.
Mr. Chair, the question was about the carbon tax. He's now talking about child care benefits. Speaking of the low-income cutoff line, which is what you've used to make your claims about reduced poverty for children, Statistics Canada's officials testified here that cost increases for things like food, fuel, and electricity would necessarily increase the number of people below the low-income cutoff line. How many additional Canadians will fall below the low-income cutoff line, that is the poverty line, as a result of increased costs from your carbon tax?
About 30 seconds, sir.
I would frame the question differently. I would say, how many low-income Canadians will be lifted out of poverty because of the resources that provinces and territories will receive from taxing a bad thing, which is carbon pollution, and handing out support to families of middle-class and lower-income Canadians. So how many of these Canadian families will be lifted out of poverty because provinces and territories will have more resources to do so?
Excuse me. First, that's time. Second, we have a point of order from Mark Warwa.
Thank you, Chair. I think this meeting, and I do appreciate ministers being here to answer questions, but if they answer the questions, I think this meeting will run a lot more effectively and efficiently. For a minister to not answer questions is a disservice to this committee.
I don't disagree with that at all. I'd also like all the committee members to be listening to the answers and not interrupting the ministers as well. In conjunction with that, we could all do better. Now we're over to Mr. Rumi, please.